All right, let's take this discussion further. We're now joined by legal analyst Elton Hart. Elton, a very good afternoon to you. So the NPA in this case has withdrawn this charge of sexual grooming against the accused, citing a lack of evidence. How difficult would it have been to prove such, legally, given that sexual grooming is regulated by a section of the criminal law in this country?
Obviously, when one looks at sexual grooming, one needs to establish a pattern that you can actually say this is a pattern that you can see how this person behaved in a certain way to actually manipulate or influence the behavior of another person to get sexually attached to that person. So you need to establish that pattern to show that this is the pattern, how he most probably bought maybe nice shoes for the kid, perfumes, chocolates, those type of things. That behavior should be seen, and then from that behavior now manipulating the child to be emotionally attracted and vulnerable to the person actually performing the act of sexual grooming. And that is all, because what we hear in the media reports is that this person started communicating with this person from January around about 2024. So roughly it would have been that first 3 months means that that was the grooming period, and they have to look in that period. So sometimes if the child doesn't have internet and these fancy phones where you can actually track, then it becomes difficult to actually gather this evidence to see. And you don't have photographs to show that how he actually took her out to a restaurant to give her nice food, nice things, sort of half softening the child to actually get her to actually have what in his mind you would think is consensual sex, but which is not really consensual.
So, I mean, if I had to understand that, it would mean then it's not just merely a legal, interpretation, but it also speaks to actual evidence. Because, I mean, one would imagine just looking at a 13-year-old girl who's just given birth on a Christmas day, admitting that this is my 28-year-old boyfriend, it would be an easy shut case.
No, the case is easy open and shut case when it comes to the statutory rape, because this child is underage, is under 16, and there's a child born. So if they take the DNA and the DNA shows that he's the father, for the statutory rape, there's a slam dunk case. But when it comes to the actual grooming part, you need to show now this is what he did. And in terms of what he did, the child then acted in a certain way to be emotionally vulnerable, and that emotional vulnerability then led to him exploiting that. We know that the child has been born there, but we need, because you don't know if this could have also just been a rape case where this child was actually just raped. Did she consent to this? So how did the consent come? Under what circumstances? And that is where you look at the elements for sexual grooming. But sometimes if you don't have these things on social media, like the cell phones that you can actually download the data and see the type of messages that was exchanged between the parties, how he actually sort of have suggested this intercourse that would take place, then it becomes a little bit difficult to prove the sexual grooming. But with the statutory rape, that one is the slam dunk one.
Yeah. And let's talk about then the statutory rape charge. So, I mean, when you consider that the Sexual Offences Act suggests or makes it illegal for anyone to engage in sex or any other sexual conduct with a child between the ages of 12 to 16, what are we then likely to see in as far as this case is concerned, particularly when you consider that this 13-year-old girl gave birth?
Now, obviously, the court, and when you look at the Sexual Offences Act, it allows for a minimum sentence of 10 years. So even if he's a first-time offender, he can get that as the direct imprisonment of 10 years as a first-time offender. I've seen courts deviate from that, where people got, I saw a case in the Northern Cape, 6 years, but there was additional counts and it added up to 24 years. So, but it doesn't stop. The NPA has withdrawn this sexual grooming case, but what if maybe in 2 months' time they find additional evidence, they can bring that charge back. And just now the grooming charge is gone, but it doesn't say that NPA cannot take it up in future.
All right, Elton, thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate it.